He does look really different with the beard.
What, to stand right here in the middle?
Right in the middle.
Yep.
We have water balloons to throw.
Always right in the middle.
So we all have questions for you.
So if anybody's got any embarrassing stories, now would be a great time to talk about them. Now, I've been around a little while, and I can remember a long, long time ago, a young patrolman with
Brown hair.
brown hair,
Hair.
calling saw tobacco in his mouth, like that, all around town. And that guy's still here, a little grayer, a little wiser.
Taking that today.
But, Gary Norman has shepherded the city of Newcastle through a lot over the last 30 years, growing through the ranks to become chief, and what, about
18th year.
18th year as chief. And he brought us through a few tornadoes,
Yes, sir.
lots of things that no town wants to deal with, but he's done it very admirably. And we have been very blessed for the service you provided the city of Newcastle over the last 30 years. And is there anything any of the other council members would like to express to Chief?
I'll start off because a citizen asked me to read this. He couldn't be here tonight. He writes, I first met Chief Norman when he was a young patrol officer. He worked a lot on the night shift, so my interaction with him was limited. I got to watch him and saw his professional demeanor on May 4th, 1999. Y'all know that date?
Yeah.
The day after the May 3rd tornado. The morning after the biggest, meanest tornado ever. At dawn, he and I hit the community looking for anything and everything. His interaction with the hurt residents was top notch. Although a looky-loo pulled a U-turn right in front of us on Main Street, Patrolman Norman pulled them over. I wanted him to give them a ticket or at least chew them out. He did neither, dang it. And he says Newcastle is fortunate to have Gary Norman working for us and with us. And that's Alan Davenport. He was on city council at that time. And Chief Norman, I share those. I echo those results, those comments as well. We really appreciate all you do for us.
Any comments?
Just we appreciate your service and all you've done for Newcastle. It's not an easy job.
Some days are a little better than others.
And we're fortunate
Absolutely.
that you decided to stay and make a career at Newcastle. We appreciate it very much. So, honor that. I'd like to give you this little flag here.
And the chief was honored by your organization this past week or two.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
FOP.
Yep.
So if I could get, I know Chief has some family here. Does family like to come up and get a picture with him?
We probably don't, but.
Well, come up here and act like you like him for a little while.
Is that Dakota?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I know. Make me feel old.
Hi Dakota, how you doing? Well, it's good seeing you again. How fast can you run these days? Newcastle racer there. That's
One, two, three.
We appreciate you, Chief.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
If everyone will rise, we will have our opening prayer and flag salute.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we take a moment now to acknowledge you and to express our thanks to you and also to ask you for your blessings. We do acknowledge you as our Lord. And dear Father, we're so thankful for the blessings. We just love the opportunity of being in this great country, living in this great state, in this wonderful community. And we ask your blessings, dear Lord, just to give us good insight and good vision and good discernment, dear Lord, as we make decisions on behalf of the city of Newcastle and our community. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
They all should be on, there's no individual.
That's on.
This time I'll call the November 13th, 2023 meeting of the Newcastle Public Works Authority to order. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Carl Nell,
Here.
Mike Fullerton,
Here.
Jean Reed,
Here.
Kimberly Sutton. Here. Marcy White.
Here.
Item number 2, discussion and possible action on approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Motion and second for approval of the agenda.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Jean Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White.
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 3 is citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for any citizen to comment on any item related to the City of Newcastle Public Works that is not on the agenda. Might remind any potential speakers that all speakers shall clearly state their name and address for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person with only one speaking opportunity. Board members will not respond to comments or questions. The chair may end comment period at his discretion, and prior authorization is required for distribution of materials or to approach the board. This time is for public comment concerning the City of Newcastle Public Works. Seeing none, we'll move to item number 4, consent agenda. Is there any item? Oh, sorry. Streets, yeah, street. If it's not on the agenda and it's related to streets. Yes. Yeah, yeah.
My name's William Bergen. I live at 1101 North Eunice Avenue. Sorry, first time doing this. I'm here today to follow up on the street improvements of Eunice Avenue. I'm a father of 3, ages 2, 2, and 1. The current street conditions almost requires an ATV to take them on a walk due to the condition of the road. Anything the council can do to help expedite the improvements would be much appreciated. That's all I have.
And of course, the council can't speak, as the mayor said, but I will tell you, they are supposed to start moving in the storm drain materials within the next couple of weeks.
Awesome.
So we hope to have that project completed probably by March, roughly around March. It'll take some time to get curb and gutter done, to get all of that torn out.
Cool. I'm in
Yeah.
construction, so
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank
You
you,
bet.
guys.
You bet.
That's
Thank you.
all.
Any other public comment concerning Public Works? All right. Seeing none, we'll move to item number 4, consent agenda. Is there any item of the authority, or excuse me, any item that any member of the authority desires to be removed and addressed individually? All right. Seeing none, we'll move to item number 4, consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Motion second for approval of the consent agenda.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Jean Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White.
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 5, discussion and possible action on any items removed from the consent agenda. Be no action on that agenda item. Item number 6, discussion and possible action on rescission of award of bid to Mayfield Contracting LLC, termination of agreement with Bear Creek Construction LLC, a successor in interest to Mayfield Contracting LLC, and revocation of authorization to issue notice to proceed for State Highway 76 waterline relocation project.
The company Mayfield, which converted over to Bear Creek later, they requested to rescind the award and not perform this job. They've had some folks leave their company that I guess they were counting on, of course, when they made this. And then, of course, the company changed hands right after the award was given, or right simultaneously. So they have asked to be released from this contract, this agreement.
Any questions?
So we're awarding it to the second bidder?
That will come. That will come.
Okay.
I move to approve item 6.
I'll second.
Motion second for approval of item number 6.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Jean Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White.
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 7, discussion and possible action on award of bid to Matthew Trenching LLC as the second lowest bidder, authorization to enter into contract and to issue notice to proceed for the State Highway 76 water line relocation project.
Matthews was the second lowest bidder. Our engineer, Sullivan's Engineering, did speak with them, and they honored their original bid and do want to perform the work. And we received an email today from Sullivan's Engineering that ODOT has also approved the awarding of this bid to Matthews, changing that. So
What was the And if I remember correctly, this is not at cost to the city. It's at cost,
Well, a portion is
the upgrade,
the upgrade, correct? Yes.
Yes.
City. Yeah.
but the standard, what was present there is what we're getting paid for. I'll make a motion to award the contract. Do we need to get, we don't have this in front of me, for the Highway 76 project. To the
Second.
second lowest bidder.
Yep, second.
Motion second for approval of the bid to Matthews Trenching.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White,
Yes.
Carl Lambert.
Yes.
Sorry.
Almost unanimous.
Almost.
Oh, good grief.
Item number 8, discussion and possible action on approval of financing proposal for purchase of approximately 9.69 acres in the northwest quarter, section 23-9 North 4 West Indian Meridian, McLean County, Oklahoma.
I believe we had three proposals that came in. We actually solicited about 7, I believe. Received 3, and I believe that it was First National Bank that came back in with the lowest interest rate at 5. I believe it's 5.5, 5.5.
Yes.
That falls within the parameters of the payment that we were looking at per month. Should be able to handle it with no issues.
Move to approve item 8
Selecting.
with selecting of First National Bank of Newcastle.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 8, selecting First National Bank and Trust.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White,
Yes.
Carl Lambert.
Yes. Item number 9, discussion of possible action on approval of contract for engineering services with S2 Engineering PLLC for update of 2019 wastewater allocation study, construction of desktop model, and preparation of report.
And I do believe that there's a representative here from S2. Would you like to speak to this, Mayor, to give a background, or just let?
I'll speak a little bit to it. We have been doing a lot of work, as we know, on the waste treatment facility that we're beginning construction on. And when we were planning that facility through ACOG, we participated in a waste load allocation study on the South Canadian River. It allocated a certain amount of capacity to the city of Newcastle, which is not going to be adequate for our long-term needs. So there's a couple of things we can look at, and I'm sure we'll get a little bit more into this, but one of them is providing additional filtration to our outflow from the plant. That's fairly costly. That's about $5 million to get us outflow for another $1.5 million or 1.5 million gallons of discharge. And so we started working with Brandon Wall Engineering, looking at alternative sites for our discharge to go to that wouldn't be as problematic trying to enter into the South Canadian River there along a line where we've got numerous Oklahoma City connections. Oklahoma City has at least 2 more, I think maybe 3 more discharge permits active that they're currently not using to discharge into the Canadian. We've got Norman, Tuttle, Mustang, Moore, all of those flowing into this watershed. So in looking at that and talking with ODEQ, we needed to find a solution where we would likely be able to get that discharge further down the Canadian, south of the Purcell-Lexington area. So when we look at doing that, we've looking at options. When we move over the ridge line that kind of flows along that Highway 90 area and move over to the south side of it, we enter the Walnut Creek watershed. And so that's what we're looking at now, is any potential to discharge into Walnut Creek, which Walnut Creek doesn't flow into the South Canadian until the south side of Purcell, south of Lexington and Purcell. And so that's just kind of a little bit of a background about how we got to where we currently are. So.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I'm glad to be here. And just to give you a little introduction, my name is Srini Sundaramurthy. I'm the principal of the S2 Engineering. I work out of Tulsa. I've been serving Oklahoma for almost 32 years, and I'm so excited to be here for the first time. So about 12 days ago, through Brandon, your engineer, approached me about looking at some of the options. So as Mayor pointed out, in 2019, when ACOG approved the waste load allocation, you already have for 1.5 million gallons a day. And they're giving you a certain limit that you have to meet. So you already have that in the pocket. But as you're looking at more capacity, then the question becomes whether it's more optimal to go get it from Canadian with additional treatment, or as Mayor pointed out, look into the Walnut, because that's also a ripe opportunity. So what we developed a scope of work is basically a two major tasks, A and B. And first, to look at the Canadian discharge that you have. You already planned for the force main going along 16th Street to discharge at the end of the 16th Street, and see how we can get that. And to do that, there are some certain procedures that DEQ would want you to go through, and that's what we laid out. So that would be, in big term, that would be the task A. And then the task B is to look at the Walnut Creek and see how much of assimilative capacity that you can discharge into, and what those consequences are in terms of future. Now, one of the key thing is when DEQ approves you the wastewater allocation, they only look at 20-year increments. So the key would be to work with you to see what your needs are first 20 years, and partial that either directly going all of it to Canadian, or maybe split it, or look at some of those opportunities. So that's where we are. If there are any more detailed questions, I can go through each scope, but I'll be happy to answer.
What's the timeline? How soon do this solutions need to be?
Well, we're hoping we can get it done in 90 to 120 days. And it could be quicker. So it all depends on when we do the wastewater allocation study through DEQ, and we go through the steps, and they have their own review time. They also go through the EPA review time. So it goes through a technical review with DEQ, and then they send it to EPA, Region 6, and then they have to go through the public notification, public hearing process. So we are hoping 90 to 120 days.
So once you achieve that, the physical, the actual mechanical physical part of the solution has to occur. Does that affect our plans on the wastewater treatment construction at all? Or
Not at all. As he mentioned, we've got 1.5 million gallons
for future?
already locked up in the Canadian. With filtration, at today's prices, like according to Brandon, with an additional $5 million worth of filtration, we could up that to 3 million in the Canadian and keep our existing load that we're putting into the Canadian consistent with what we have been permitted. We're really looking towards the future, towards we're building the hard infrastructure around our plant for potential increase to 6 million gallons a day there. So where are we going to go with that other 3 million gallons a day or more if we can't go to the Canadian with it? Because eventually we will need that capacity. We don't know with the things with the turnpike and with the hospital and the capacity of the hospital will potentially take out of our system. We don't know what that number is or how soon we'll get there, but we'll have to make some pretty good estimates, as he mentioned, because we'll need to look at what we think our demand will be and justify that to ODEQ and EPA over a 20-year period of time. And that's all that we're going to be able to get a hold of. But we really need to look deep into what we think the impacts of those two things are going to be on our community and the growth and our long-term needs. And this is our plant we're building will last us for a considerable point in time. But as I mentioned, Oklahoma City's already gone out and locked up a bunch of capacity in the Canadian because they know that growth is coming. And so we need to be looking forward and doing the same thing and making sure that we have some options to go with our discharge, probably at a time when nobody that's on the council here will currently be on there, but you never know. It's long-term planning we've got to do with what we know is coming our direction.
So this item explores approving the study
Correct.
to come back to us for that. Very good.
Yes, sir. Anything to add, Kevin?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think it's all covered.
Very good. We appreciate you coming down
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
you.
it.
very much. Look forward to working with you. So now I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve agenda item number 9. Contract for engineering services, S2 Engineering.
I'll second.
Motion second for approval of item number 9.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Oh, it was on there. Yes. Sorry.
Marcy White,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Kimberly Sutton. Yes. Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 10, discussion of possible action on scheduling dates, location, and times for regular meetings of the Newcastle Public Works Authority for calendar year 2024.
24. I bet it gets to be 2024.
I make a motion to adopt the dates proposed.
I'll second.
Motion second for approval of proposed dates for calendar year 2024.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton. Yes. Marcy White.
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 10, discussion of possible action on scheduling. No, that's already, sorry. Item number 11, monthly treasurer's report. Goodness,
Already?
I want to do things again.
So at the end of October, that puts us at an ideal execution rate of 33.3%. As far as the operations and their departments are running, everyone on the city side, only 2 departments are running ahead of that 33.3%, but those are easily explained and we're not concerned about that at the time. The NPWA side, operations for wastewaters were a little high, as well as the sanitation disposal, but overall, the NPWA side is only at 31.8. The fire department tax fund has brought in $453,000. We have paid $681,000 for the operation, for the personnel and operations of our fire department. On the ARPA money, just an update on that. We again have spent that first half. The second half, we have $671,000, almost $672,000 left. We have paid for pieces of the wastewater mod plan along with the LIDAR piece. So that has all been completed or paid for. We've paid 7 draws to Lingo for the fire station. We have now paid $3.3 million to Lingo, and we have paid 1.4, almost 1.5 to Navholt for the animal shelter over 7 draws. For the wastewater plant, we have actually had 2 draws, so we're at $401,000. Our sales and use tax came in at $928,000. 790 of that was sales, 138,000 of that was use. As far as where we expected to be at this point in the year, we are 12.7% higher. We're 8% higher than last year and 13.8% higher than FY21. Our current indebtedness is now sitting at almost 9.3 million. For October, the only grant funds we got were for the Department of Public Safety, our police officer personnel working their overtime for the Oklahoma Safe Grant. And I did make a couple of additions to your financials. If you haven't noticed, I would appreciate any feedback if you would like to give me any on those. I just wanted to give you a further breakdown of the revenues that we get in and maybe seeing where all our revenues come in as we grow. Kind of be good to be aware as we start. We've got a ton of projects that I now have to write down to keep track of. I just added a few pages in there to give a little more detail. Feel free to email me if you'd like to, and either ask me to nix them or ask for something that you want to have shown. I'll run down the balances. The general fund is 2.67 million. Capital improvement tax fund is 2.77 million. Economic development is 35,000. Cemetery fund is 71,000. Parks capital improvement fund is 147,000. Fire station fund is 2.92 million. Admin and technology is 221,000. Grant cost share fund 2.55 million. Transportation impact fee fund is 179,000. On the NPWA side, Public Works is sitting at 2.68 million. Water impact 1.45 million. Wastewater impact fee is 735,000. The wastewater plant fund is 6.77 million. And our newest fund, the meter maintenance fund, is now sitting at 98,000. All funds combined, we ended up in the plus. We had 415,000 more in revenues and expenses, putting a total fund balance at 23.3 million.
Good.
And that's it. Any questions for me?
All right, thank you very much, Dean. We
Thank
appreciate it. Item number 12, general manager's comments.
And as she mentioned, that she's done some new things in the financials, and hiring an individual to actually take over accounts payable has helped her to be able to start doing things like that and looking at different things, which is a huge asset to me and help with all of these projects like she talked about, because we have them right there at a fingertip glance now. So anytime we say, well, what was that project it's there. So we do have a lot. We are starting to purchase a lot of different materials for the water plant out there. We're starting our process to going into the late fall and winter of shutting that plant down, not running it near as much, so we can make some very much needed repairs out there. We've made a lot already, but we'll be able to make these repairs without worrying too much about producing water. So they're starting to look at that now. We had a conversation with OTA, and I believe I put this in the city manager report, about the Tri-City sewer line that will be impacted by the turnpike when it is built and comes into Highway 37. We have a line up there, a 10-inch line that will need to be relocated. Long story short, OTA said yes, they would assist with that cost. They'll actually pay for the majority of costs to relocate that. However, I did contact them again today. I spoke with Todd Gore today. Because of easement. I've already met with one property owner this morning. Jeanette and I did and talked about easement. And I thought, I'm going to call OTA and just see if easement acquisition and engineering, I figured engineering would be included, not so sure about easement acquisition because of the route that the city would like to take to run that line. They will pay for easement acquisition. They will pay for engineering. They will pay for materials, construction costs, but only up to the length of the pipe that is being affected underneath. So if the entire project, which I calculated is about 1.83 mile, they will cover, I believe it's about 400 feet of pipe. The cost to replace that, engineer it out of that, it's a percentage is how they pay for that. So just to put that on everybody's mind when we do get ready to do this line, which is going to be very much needed. It's a larger line, 18-inch is what we plan on, and that's what Wall Engineering is recommending at this time. There's going to be a lot of that cost that we have to shoulder. So I think a lot of that work, though, our people will be able to do the work. If we get the easement that we need and the path that we have, if engineering shows, yes, that's a good viable path, this line should be laid within just a couple, three, it's a simple job, nothing in the way. We have crews that know how to do that. So I think that we can limit our cost to the project a lot by us doing the work, a bunch of it. So, and that's all I have.
Very good. Just to piggyback a little bit on that, that line will handle everything west of I-44, even potential connections all the way with lift stations down Highway 76. Be more than adequate to handle all of that in the future.
76?
Down 276.
Down 276.
Yeah, okay.
And that will allow us to sever our existing line that we've got that serves both east and west sides of I-44, and let us utilize that 10-inch on the east side of I-44 for any potential development on the east side. And this new line will carry everything on the west side of I-44.
Good.
So we're hopeful all of that will work out well. And so with the uptick in the OTA's work on their project, we need to get ahead of it because we need to have this engineered and ready for the board to be done and everything in place before they come in and destroy our current board that we've got. So that's one of the reasons why it may seem like we're getting a little bit ahead of the game, but we have to be ahead of the game because we've got to be ready and have that bore in place before they sever our existing bore with construction. So, item 13, any trustee comments?
Well, speaking of that, what do we know about where they're at with that? Like, when are we going to see some? And how is their construction going to affect our traffic flows and things like that?
We don't know that yet. As Kevin said, we did have a conversation with OTA a week ago last Friday, and they anticipate they will be, after the first of the year, in a position to meet with the city and more than likely to provide 30% plans for public consumption. That, to give you an idea of what 30% plans will show, that will show the fairly defined path of where the turnpike will impact, both the turnpike and any associated access roads adjacent to that. And so then everybody will know pretty much if they're going to be impacted or not, and to what degree. So at that point in time, they've indicated to us they will be in a position to negotiate for right-of-way acquisition to those individuals that will be what they call a total take, where they're going to be taking the entirety of their property. Probably on to the fall of 24, then they will be at 65% plans, and they will have the exact rights of ways defined, and they'll be in a position to negotiate with partial takes. So in discussions with them, they did issue the $500 million worth of bonds. They are ramping the engineering back up, and they are going to be moving forward. So that's where we are now. And after the first year, I'm sure they will be updating the Access Oklahoma website, and everybody will kind of know where they're at moving forward. They want to be very transparent and open on the progress as they move forward. So there we are.
This is still the very beginning of the project's going to be this Tri-City interchange.
Yes, that will be what they're doing in the first stages, is the connection from I-44 east across the South Canadian River to east of I-35 in the general vicinity of Sooner. All right, any other trustee comments? All right, item 14 is adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second for adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Good. This time I'll call the November 13th, 2023 meeting of the Newcastle City Council to order. First item on the agenda is a roll call.
Carl Nell,
Here.
Mike Fullerton,
Here.
Jean Reed,
Here.
Kimberly Sutton. Here. Marcy White.
Item number 2, discussion of possible action on approval of the agenda. I will make a motion to approve the agenda, amending the agenda by moving item number 7 to immediately following item number 2.
Second.
Motion second for approval of the agenda as amended.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Jean Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton. Yes. Marcy White.
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Item number 7, Mayor's proclamation recognizing the Newcastle High School fast pitch softball team as state champions and declaring October 14th, 2023 as Newcastle Lady Racers Championship Day. It seems like a recurring theme with Coach Crosley and our softball team. You know, I've had kids in school, and most of us have, or a lot of us have, and state championships don't just fall off trees. They are hard earned, and it takes dedication of an outstanding coaching staff and dedication of parents, students, players, support of the community. And we're very fortunate we've got the best of all of those things wrapped up in Newcastle's girls softball team. I'd like to have Crosley come up here, and we'll make you stand here as we brag on you a little bit.
I think some girls are here too.
You can introduce those.
Coach, if you want to come over here, and we'll start. And I would imagine Councilman Reed has a thing or two to say.
Really? Well, Coach, and I'll say this on behalf of all of our patrons here in Newcastle. I'm really proud to be in Newcastle, and I remind people that many people know our city through our school, and many people know our school through our athletics. And sometimes people shrug about the value of athletics, but I just can't say enough about how important it is. And then when you have athletic programs like we have and the coaches we have throughout our sports, and a tip of the hat, Dr. Walker is here and others before her. We have coaches who are remarkable persons of character, and some of them know how to win state championships as well. Coach, I'm really proud of you and your team this year, but your coaching staff and you and your family for being such a great part of the community.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate you all recognizing us. I'm extremely proud of our girls. We finished 34-4, of course, the state champions. They work extremely hard to represent our community, our school, team, families in a positive light. And not only on the field do they win, they're extremely good students and they're extremely good citizens. So they're great young ladies. Sorry we didn't have more turnout. Tonight is the basketball bash at the high school gym, and so many of them are in attendance there. Excuse me. My assistant coach, Coach Fowler, showed up today. She's been a blessing to us. She came to us from McLeod, and this is her second year here, so she's all excited about winning the state championship. And we have two young ladies that did show up. They're sisters. Jocelyn is on the right there. Jocelyn Tornaway, she's a sophomore player for us. And her sister is a senior, and she made All-State, the highest honor you can receive. Maddie was our leadoff, and she'll be attending USAO. She's going to play for another former player of mine, Jacob Wallace,
That's right.
Yeah.
who graduated in 2004 and went on to play at the University of Oklahoma, and now she's the coach at USAO, and Matt gets to go play for her. But we sure do appreciate you.
And Coach Vicky is here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been awesome. It's been awesome. It's our third state championship to win in the last 10 years. And we're real proud because it's our third championship to win with three different ball clubs.
Wow.
We won it in 2014. All the girls graduated. We won it again in 2019. All the girls graduated, so none of them were on this team, and we won it again in 2023. So three different state championships, three different groups of young ladies, and they're just outstanding.
Well, I will read this proclamation. Whereas the Newcastle Lady Racers softball team ended the season as the #1 team in Class 4A, having won the Class 4A state championship. And whereas they have brought the championship trophy to Newcastle schools. Whereas they have brought pride and excitement to both Newcastle public schools and to their city, the city of Newcastle, with the state championship for the Newcastle High School Fast Pitch Softball. And whereas they have demonstrated the willingness to work hard in practice and in games, to focus on teamwork and to embrace the commitment to a high level of excellence in competitive sports and sportsmanship. And whereas the Lady Racers completed an outstanding season, resulting in an overall record of 34 wins and 4 losses, defeating Purcell 4-0. And whereas the Lady Racers have expressed their appreciation for support of all of their fans, and whereas it is fitting and proper to ensure that all of Newcastle and the many Racer fans across the land take an opportunity to acknowledge the outstanding performance of the Newcastle Lady Racers, their coach, his assistants, and their managers. Now, therefore, I, Carl B. Nail, Mayor, do proclaim October 14, 2023 in the city of Newcastle, Oklahoma, as Newcastle Lady Racers Championship Day, and do hereby urge our citizens to support the Newcastle Racer Athletics. In witness thereof, I have set my hand caused the civil of the city of Newcastle, Oklahoma, to be affixed this 13th day of November, 2023. Coach? We can get Dr. Walker and.
Do that again.
Yes, we can.
Clapping or
We can get.
One more.
Okay.
1, 2.
If we can get the girls and
Hey, Coach Bob.
everybody, let's get everybody up here.
Come on, that's it.
You have to get in, Miss Crosley. Yeah, you need to go.
On this one. All right, I didn't actually get talk.
1, 2, 3. You got
Yeah, I mean,
Through 2 or 3 hours that you had this time.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
I'm not feeling no, I don't. I mean, let's solve something. I don't know what's wrong?
alrighty. That's the fun part of city council.
Exactly.
All the fun's over now.
All right. Now we'll go to item number 3, citizen comments. This is an opportunity for any citizen to comment on any matter related to the city of Newcastle that is not on the agenda. Might remind any potential speakers that all speakers shall clearly state their name and address for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person with only one speaking opportunity. Council members will not respond to comments or questions. The mayor may end comment period at his discretion, and prior authorization is required for distribution of materials or to approach the council. This time, is there any public comment concerning the city of Newcastle that is not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll move to item number 4, consent agenda. Are there any items that any member of council desires to be removed from the consent agenda and addressed individually? All right, seeing none, item number 4, consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second for approval of the consent agenda.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton, yes, Marcy White.
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 5, discussion of possible action on any items removed from the consent agenda. Be no action on that agenda item. Item number 6, discussion of possible action and recommendations of the Planning Commission. Item number 6A, public hearing, discussion of possible action on Planning Commission recommendation for conditional use permit for a commercial disposal well for the Patsy Ann McMahon, trustee of the Juanita Griffith Family Trust, Charter Oak Production Company, LLC, for the Juanita Saltwater Disposal Number 1, located in the southwest quarter of Section 27, 9 North, 4 West Indian Meridian, McLean County, Oklahoma. Property location approximately 1/2 mile west of the intersection of Southwest 24th Street and US 62, then north on Leach Road and right at the Y to the existing location, Newcastle, Oklahoma. Case number UPOR 2023-013. This item has been continued. I'll make a motion to continue this item to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
Motion second for continuance.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Gene Reed.
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 6B, planning public hearing, discussion and possible action on planning commission recommendation to approve an application for use permitted on review for cannabis processing facility for Mays Holding Company, LLC, owner, Native Harvest RX Tracks, Inc., tenant, located in the southeast quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 10, Township 8 North, Range 3 West, Indian Meridian, McLean County, Oklahoma. Property address 5012 Southeast 44th Street, Newcastle, Oklahoma. Case number UPOR 2023-032.
Good evening, Council. Janae Greenlee with the Newcastle Planning Department. As you stated, this item is for Mays Holding Company, Native Harvest RX Tracks, UPOR 2023-032 for a medical marijuana processor. Mays Holding Company LLC is the owner and Robert Bainfield is the tenant and the applicant at 5012 Southeast 44th Street, approximately 1.5 acres. As you can see on the screen, the presentation, the outlined area is the address and the location for this UPOR. The surrounding zoning is all IR, and for a medical marijuana processor, a UPOR is required. So that is their request, and they are going to be doing a backup. This medical marijuana processor's license is not considered a new application because it was a transfer, and therefore it doesn't fall underneath the moratorium on new licenses. They plan to use ethanol extraction. This is kind of a floor plan of the room that they're going to be using for their medical marijuana processing. Giving this, it is going to be a class 1 division 1 under the OSHA requirements. So staff kind of did a little bit of research to make sure that they are going to be compliant when they come in for their building permit application and review of that application, as well as when we follow through with inspections. The applicant is present and he did provide a written statement acknowledging the stipulated conditions for the electrical code, fire code, and the building code. Planning Commission did recommend installing necessary filters for odor control. This location is currently a licensed medical marijuana grow, so this processing facility will be inside of that grow. That is the only additional recommendation that Planning Commission made, is to install those additional filters for odor control. Planning staff supports and recommends approval of UPOR 2023-032. Planning Commission also recommended approval. It was approved of 4-0. I'm happy to answer any questions, and like I said, the applicant is here for additional questions.
Any council questions or concerns? All right. Is there any public comment concerning this agenda item? You guys know where this is at? Directly behind the John Deere, down on Highway 9.
Yeah.
What's the nearest north-south street?
North-south, it's the street that runs directly on the west side of the P&K equipment on Highway 9.
Right,
Here's
okay.
P&K.
Walker or Harvey?
Well,
Or,
Be
no,
west of-
it's a private street that goes back in there west of John Deere.
it's about as far away from anything. It's a long ways from anything.
Yes.
No houses here.
Right.
McDonald's and Cross, but it's over a ways from that even.
You know, the adjacent land is developing commercially, but to the east, but it meets our requirements.
Yeah, no questions.
Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve agenda item 6B.
I'll second.
Motion second for approval of 6B.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Marcy White,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 6C, discussion of possible action on approval of final plat of Horseshoe Creek Estates.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joel Dixon. I'm the interim city engineer. So this is a pretty straightforward plat. It's just shy of 40 acres off of Northwest 40th Street, just east of Council Road. And it will be creating 4 lots effectively. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4 is this interesting flag shaped. Did I do that right? I think I did that wrong. I think those are off. And
You were right.
okay, I thought I had it right.
Yeah.
Yes. So pretty straightforward. Everything meets as far as the requirements for zoning. This is ag, I do believe. And the lot size, the frontage, everything's in. Everything meets the ordinance requirements. Sorry. This went before Planning Commission, was recommended for approval unanimously, and so pending your questions.
I think those would be some nice lots up there. Is there any public comment concerning this agenda item? All right.
I'll move to approve the final plat for item 6C.
A second.
Motion second for approval of item 6C.
Fullerton,
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item 6D, discussion of possible action on amendments to the Newcastle Code of Ordinance, Title 15, Chapter 155, sign regulations, specifically amending Section 155.21A2, accessory signs, standards, and Section 155.23B1, commercial signs, and adoption of ordinance number 953.
This ordinance amendment came forward due to the scooters that is coming up on Main Street. When they applied for their sign permit package, they had signs on both the south and the north elevations. So when staff looks at the sign ordinance, we have only permitted signs on street frontages. So there wasn't an issue on 4th Street, but anything on the south side, because there's not a street there, does not permit any signs. This ordinance is not going to change the allowable maximum area for signage for each business. What it's going to do is allow them to place their signs in locations on their building that will be seen from the general public. So what it does is just takes out the street frontage along dedicated streets is the only place that they could have signs. Now, if there's not a street frontage, and I'll show you some examples. Staff went out and took a look, and there's been several businesses that have been permitted signs not on street frontages throughout the years. The ordinance as it is right now is somewhat very restrictive, only allowing frontages to have those signs. As you can see, the AutoZone, the Taco Bell, Arby's, and Strip Mall that just fronts on a driveway all have some signage. Now, their allowable square footage is correct. It's just that they didn't have frontage on streets. So that's the only thing that this ordinance amendment is changing, is the allowance to have signage that would not be on a frontage. The square footage is going to remain the same. The chart as far as the table to figure out the allowance of signage for each business, which is based on building frontage and the setbacks as well. Planning Commission did recommend approval. Staff supported. It got recommended 4-0 by Planning Commission. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So I don't know this ordinance very well at all. So they can basically where it's at right now, they'd only be able to have it on 4th, but not like facing Main.
They could have it on Main. They can't have it on the south
But they
side.
couldn't have it on the south side. Okay,
Mhm.
so it's not changing the size of what signs they can have. It's only changing so they can have 2. Then you mean?
They could potentially, if they want to break it,
How-
say they're allowed 200 square feet total.
Okay,
You know,
that's what I was
they're allowed 200 square feet total. They can decide.
how
I
they
want-
want to allot it.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay.
Yes.
Are you
Okay.
saying importantly those businesses now are technically not in our not abiding by ordinance? This will correct that. Those
Yes,
examples.
it will.
okay?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, it would correct that.
Those are examples of why it needed to be updated. And,
Yes.
okay. Good.
Any public comment concerning this agenda item? All right. Any questions for planning staff? Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve with the changes, I guess, with the changes that were made, that were shown.
I'll second.
A motion second for approval of item number 6D.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 6E, discussion and possible action on adoption of the emergency clause of ordinance number 953.
Make a motion to approve emergency clause, ordinance number 953.
I'll second.
Motion second for approval of item number 6E.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 8, discussion and possible action on approval of Motorola quote and authorization to purchase 25 body cameras, 25 car cameras, docking stations, and upgraded software with new server for the police department.
The current equipment that the PD has is becoming fairly old, outdated. A lot of it is actually beginning to fail, and it cannot be serviced at this point because they came out with 2nd and 3rd generation cameras and servers and things of that nature. So this is this will replace and then add just a little bit to the number of body cameras because we have grown in police force size. But for just over 87,000, all of this gets replaced. The servers, body cameras, docking station, everything. So,
How old is the equipment that we have now?
it's at least, I believe, 7 to 8 years old. I don't know if Scott's still here or not.
That's good. That my only point is the world we live in.
Oh, it changes very
That's all.
quickly.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Very old.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm assuming we would use admin and tech fund,
we will.
which
We'll
is
use that admin tech,
specifically for this stuff.
Which is there.
which is there.
Excellent. So, I've moved to approve item 8.
I'll second.
Motion second for approval of item number 8.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Jean Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 9, discussion and possible action on approval of resolution number 2023-21 for adoption of emergency management, safety, and health policy manual for the city of Newcastle NPWA employees.
So when Donnie Sullins was hired as the emergency management director after the ordinance was passed, that the city manager hires that position, whatever, he was also given the position of safety officer for the city, which at one point was still on my plate as fire chief, and then as I came over as assistant city manager. Some of this we began several years ago on the health and safety plan for employees, which is required by PIOS. And Donnie has taken this thing and ran with it. He's actually been taking safety courses through Texas A&M. And then also working with these other different safety officers around the different metro locations, Norman and things of that nature. But he's done a really good job of this safety and health policy manual for the employees. And every week we get Monday morning, we get a quick safety email, a safety topic of the week that he sends out to all department heads and things of that nature. No, he's doing a really good job, and we've got this back up to where it needs to be at this point.
So is that stepladder allowed to have wheels on it?
Only on the front.
Even he would catch that. Very good. I perused through it. I didn't go detail by detail, but it looked like
Not going to give us a detailed report.
Looked like a pretty impressive manual.
Any other questions? Ready for a motion?
Make a motion to approve agenda item 9.
I second.
Motion second for approval of item number 9.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Jean Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 10, discussion and possible action on establishing a new school zone subject to ODOT approval and maintenance agreement with the city of Newcastle for Shiloh Christian Academy at Woodland Hills Baptist Church on State Highway 76 between the north side of the H.E. Bailey Turnpike Bridge extending south.
And this is an item that Vice Mayor Fullerton requested be placed on the agenda. I'm sure he has been contacted about a school zone for the Shiloh Academy over there now that's at Woodland Hills Baptist Church.
Absolutely. We all know how bad the highway is, 76, even though it's being redone in a few years. Hopefully breaking ground this coming spring on 76. But the traffic counts are extremely high along 76. Also, the speed is very high and ignored a lot of times. We all know that. We also know that there's 540 accidents in a 10-year study that we did. About 170 of those with injuries and 8 deaths. And I'm not sure how many deaths have been in this area, but it is bad. There's approximately, I believe it's 140, how many kids? About 140 kids in the classrooms now. They're moving toward accreditation for their school. And I feel like we need to treat this just like a public school. It needs to be treated the same, even though it's a private school. So the school zone needs to go in. I know it's not our call, but I think we need to take the battle to ODOT for it. And that's my thoughts on that part. We've talked about in the past, decreasing the speed there, and we had a little bit of decrease in that speed through that section, if I remember. I looked at on the map on Highway 92 to try to find an example. Friends School along Highway 92 has a speed zone of about 35 miles an hour through it. That at least decreases the amount of impact if somebody does get hit.
Just a standing one, or just during school hours?
Just during school hours.
For friend?
Yes.
Okay.
And I feel like that this is something that we need to push forward in our own city. I believe Middleburg has the same issue, and even though it's a public school, these are all public schools. I think we need to do this for a private school.
It's not out of the ordinary for there to be school zones for private schools. Carchi has a school zone for Holy Trinity. Kingfisher has a school zone for Peter and Paul. Norman has a school zone for Community Christian. So in city streets and on state highways, it is past policy for there to be school zones, whether it be public or private schools. So I think that this is definitely a need with the traffic flow, the traffic speed. I fully support anything we can do to get that done.
I think also adding on this, I'd love for it to be on the north side of the bridge on 76, passing through intersection 130, and then a set distance set by ODOT on the south side of the school, because it has to have a certain distance back. And there's also a site
Yeah.
distance that has to be set.
Are we requesting that specific, are you saying, or?
I would like to, for at least specifically say on the north side of the bridge, and then what
So
the
does that mean
standard is.
during school hours, it'll go all the way down to 25 with flashing lights?
I think we could shoot for 25. They may give us 35
Okay,
because of the other standards it's around.
well, it has a double advantage for us just slowing traffic down on 76 anyway.
I know.
Yes,
Kind
it does.
Some people
And
get
if I
out
remember-
of 130 too.
Let me get
A
the,
lot of people get in there at 130.
Pulling in and out there, yeah.
And I know we have some representatives of the school here. Is there any public comment, Ms. Shaw?
we have approximately 7,800 cars that pass by there.
Goodness.
Hi.
Make it a toll road. Sorry, Steve.
There you go. I'm telling you. Part of it goes to the school. I like it. Okay. I'm Cindy Shaw, and I've been a resident of Newcastle for 50 years, so I've seen a lot of change happen around here. I am the head of school at Shiloh Christian Academy, and so I'm here to kind of speak on behalf of the school. That we're in our 6th year, and we started 6 years ago with 17 children. We have 149 this year, with the potential of having another 51 children added to the school next year. We also have an agreement with Woodland Hills to be there for 10 years, and we've had 3 of those years, so we anticipate still being there for 7 years, and are just waiting for the day that God gives us our own place. But until then, we will continue to be there. And so, of those 149 children this year, that is 104 families. And so every day, in the morning and in the afternoon, there are 104 cars leaving within about a 15 to 20 minute period there. And so on Highway 76, as you well know, it is quite a task to get everyone in and out of there. And so we do have 3 pickup and drop off zones around the church for the school, just to get everyone off the highway. But it's that pulling in and that pulling out that is so dangerous there. And so that is why we really appreciate you giving us the floor to be able to even hear our voice on this, that we would really appreciate your support in getting something done with the Department of Transportation. And we have been in contact with them, and I know that we've had some moms, some parents who've actually contacted them as well. And so we would just like to continue with that. We're willing to do whatever you need us to do on our part to make this happen, because it's not only for the safety of our own children and families, but for the safety of the community as well. And so I
we're willing to partner with you, come alongside you in whatever way you need us to do that. And you just let us know what we need to do on our part to make that a safer place.
Cindy, are they indicating any interest at all, or what are you hearing back from them?
You know, the first time I talked with someone last year about it, and he was very receptive to it. And he said, I'll look into that, but I never did hear back from him. And so we have had some parents call, and they may be able to speak to that if they've contacted them to see if they've actually said anything that, but they seemed, you know, very, oh yes, you know, because I mean, you mentioned Highway 76 and people, their ears perk up because they know that's it's a dangerous highway.
They
It
know
just
Mike.
is.
They've all heard from Mike already for 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah, I've
Very
been fighting
good.
one for 10 years.
I'm glad to hear that
Okay,
you haven't heard
that's-
any
wait.
really
We're missing.
That's right.
any specific against it. So sounds like another push might be good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Cindy.
you for your time.
Any other public comment?
My name is Jennifer Kirby, and I have two sons who attend Shiloh Christian Academy. So I'm here kind of representing the parents and give you our point of view. And yes, it is scary driving down Highway 76. There's no center turn lane. There's no deceleration or acceleration lanes. There's not even a shoulder. So if you make an error, you know, the consequences are severe. I also wanted to point out our oldest students now are 14. We might have a 15-year-old. I'm not quite sure. So they're going to be driving in another year, and they need extra protection. They're going to be newly licensed and experienced and just wanting to get to school safely. You mentioned that our surrounding communities do have provisions in their city ordinances actually to provide school zones for private schools. So we just want that same protection that our surrounding communities have already done. And this is wonderful and a new opportunity for Newcastle to get on board with everybody else around you to doing that as well. I've actually contacted Senator Jessica Garvin's office as well. So she is aware of this issue and the need for it. And she is willing to go to ODOT and help us out with that and possibly introduce statewide legislation to allow private schools to get school zone designations automatically as needed as well. So she's on top. She can help us fight for it and get this protection in our community for our children. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Can I just also state that it might be helpful to know the time period? You know, you would actually mentioned that it's going to be something we want for all day long. Really, our drop off and pickup it would be like from 7:30 to 8:30 Monday through Thursday, and 2:30 to 3:30 on those days. And then Friday we're a half day, so still the 7:30 to 8:30 and 11:30 to 12:30 is really when we need the traffic slowed down the most. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approach ODOT.
Well, yeah, approve item number 10, which includes
Yes.
ODOT approval.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 10.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Dan Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton.
Yes.
Marcy White.
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Thank you very much. Item number 11, discussion of possible action to declare the existence of an emergency due to heavy rains causing multiple leaks and impairing the integrity of the roof of the multipurpose center, necessitating its immediate replacement and repair.
So we did have a company come out because we did have 6 leaks that were found by staff here, by library staff throughout the building, not just in any one location. This is not the first time that this has happened. We've had hole after hole after hole patched and covered and whatever. The last time we had this done, which I believe was back in the spring, the company that did it for us then said, people really need to get their roof replaced. So so in order to do this, by going through the waiving of the bid process, according to ordinance, council is allowed to do that. But council does have to declare an emergency in order for us to bypass the bidding process, because it is over the $100,000. I say it is now. When we get into the next item, we'll see we do have a bid that's lower than that, or a quote. I'm sorry, not a bid.
All right. I don't think we have much of a choice.
I would hate to wait any longer and get into winter and something really go wrong with this.
I just want to state that I wish we weren't going this direction because I don't want the scrutiny that there's not been some sort of emergency event that brought this on. It's been coming on for a long time. And I think for us to stay above any possible reproach, it's better to go through the process and head it off at the pass before we get in this kind of situation where we bypass the formal bid process.
What are the risks of that? Do you think, does anyone see any risk of us following this proposal? I'm looking right at you. In case you care.
Yeah, I think legally, the council under your ordinance, if they feel like the circumstance is such that it creates an emergency for protection of health, safety, welfare, property, those types of things. And I talked earlier in the week with the city manager about this, and I think his concern was the next big heavy rain, unless we do something pretty quickly, that may be severe damage to this structure. So I think that's what he's basing the emergency recommendation on. But it's still council's discretion about whether you think that satisfies the emergency or not.
And it is the people's money that would be required to pay for the repairs if we don't take quick enough steps. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that concern. I think the provision's there for us to do it, and I can support it. The alternative is it puts us in a position where we have to make decisions faster and earlier and have expenses that may not be needed. We waited it out hoping that these would work. And now we're at a point that they're not working and another big rain could cause a lot of damage. Is that what you're suggesting, Kevin?
Yes, it is. Because there have been a lot of leaks in this building that we've actually found water standing in our heater closet over here and actually caused damage to our heaters back in early spring.
How about the library itself? Is that being affected as well?
They've had some damage over there as well. Yes. It's time to get it replaced. I do understand where Marcy's coming from on this, which is the reason I called Jeff and said, hey, do we have any grounds here for council to declare an emergency, get this done? Otherwise, we have a 21-day bid process that we have to wait. First of all, we have to develop a scope and then send it out requesting bids. And we have to publish, which she's absolutely right. We should do that every opportunity we have just to make sure that we're staying above board on everything.
So you're saying this clause includes avoiding an emergency? This would avoid an emergency situation, not that it's an emergency.
No, it's council declaring an emergency.
Right.
In order for the city to bypass the bidding process.
Right. We didn't have one event.
There's been multiple.
Yeah, okay.
But looking at this, I mean, 10 Arrows Roofing's deal is March, July.
No, we do. We have an updated quote that she sent to your email today.
Okay.
Camille did.
It's in the folder, not in the big packet.
And we started working last week to get quotes from other companies as well. We contacted 5 different companies. We got 3 quotes back. And if council so chooses, look, I'm not completely locked in. If council so chooses that you'd rather us go out to bid, that's perfectly fine. Either way, it does concern me that we get some sort of heavy rain event over the next month or two, snow, whatever, that it could cause a lot more damage than what's been done in the past.
How does the timeline affected if we do require you to go out to bid versus negotiating something right away?
Well, I mean, we at least gain or lose 5 weeks, basically, by the time we get a scope done, we advertise, we send it out. We got to wait 21 days for bids to come in. We have a bid opening. and then it has to come back to council. That could be the December meeting, that could be the January meeting, or a special meeting, potentially.
So even though you propose that we do it under the emergency clause or emergency provisions, you still went out and solicited bids.
We did, yes, got quotes.
Yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are. Do you think the bids will be significantly different if we go through the process of soliciting bids through that process than they are soliciting bids the way we did it?
I honestly don't think they will be.
Oh,
I think from these companies, I think we'll see the same thing.
I think my concern is I would ask that we don't go far this time. If we had those bad leaks, we just need to spend the money because I agree with you. I don't want any more damage to the building whatsoever. I mean, definitely not, but I guess my position is you're right. It's going to be another 5 or 6 weeks. If it's that bad and we're going to get winter weather, we need to do it. But I would ask that we not let it get this far next time so that we don't, because the point isn't if the price would be different. The point is the process and the just how that part goes. So it may or may not be different pricing, but that's neither here nor there because we don't really know. But we're at a point now where we need to do it. I understand that, and I respect that and recognize it. I don't want any further damage to the building either.
So I guess I'm not fine.
Well, we're still on item 11, which is not discussing the bids yet. It's
Okay.
just declaring the emergency.
Yeah, if you go to your link,
Yes, I'm at our link. At least I
And-
think I am.
the supplemental document.
It's not in the agenda packet. It's in a separate file.
Yeah, right.
The email that came in just today, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so let's I guess continue to deal with item number 11 before we get into any potential bids.
I'll make a motion to approve item 11.
I second.
Motion second for approval of item number 11.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Jean Reed,
Yes.
Marcy White,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 12, discussion of possible action on approval of quote for new roof and membrane at the Newcastle Multipurpose Center to proceed with emergency replacement of roof and membrane and authorization to pay using the 1/2% sales tax, 30% fund for capital improvements.
Yes, so the 30% money can be used for the repairs to facilities. We did, like I said, we did receive 3 quotes out of the 5 that we requested. I believe it was the Rigid out of Oklahoma City that came in just over $66,000. So that's 66,950. That is well under what is required by law to go out to bid. So I did look over these proposals today as they came in early this morning. It appears to me that Rigid is more detailed in what they will perform and what they will do based on their proposal here than the other 2 companies. However, there is a 10-year labor warranty with 10 arrows, and there's only a 5-year with Rigid. That's really, having said that, with the work that Rigid has proposed or given to us in their proposal, it's very detailed. I feel reasonably comfortable with that proposal and allowing them as the lowest proposal to do the work, even though it's only a 5-year warranty.
And 10 arrows came in at how much?
A little over 109.3, I believe.
Okay, that's what I'm looking, but it still has a July date on it.
They have their new bid is exactly the same as their July bid.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. It wasn't a different bid.
No.
Okay. All right.
I downloaded it today.
So 66,000 to 109,000?
Yeah.
229 for the highest bid.
It's yeah, but I mean,
129.
but you can almost be self warranty
Right.
for that. And do they provide the same type of, some of these are using the new membrane,
All of it is
All
the
of
same on that.
which is sounds like that's been proven to be a good concept.
And we have that on the water department building. We have that on the police department building.
Okay.
They're not without fail. I mean, they can fail, those TPO. Right now, one's being put on, the fire station, the brand new fire station.
Okay.
So they're certainly not without fail. I mean, at some point in time, there will be a leak developed somewhere.
And they can repair, they can patch it.
They can repair it, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So why did we need to go through item 11 if you have item 12? That's such a
Well, we
good.
just got them in this morning. We just got the
Oh,
quotes in
oh,
this
so
morning.
the agenda is already set.
Yes. And
Well,
we,
then I'm going back with Marcy's suggestion.
So funny.
For those of you that may have looked in the packet and saw the screenshots from the 30%, the actual balance of the 30% is 1.1 million. Those are old. I don't know where those came from
Okay.
in your packet. The actual balance right now is 1.1 million.
and even though that is well within the limits without having to go out to bid, that's over what I'm allowed to spend
Okay.
by ordinance. I can only spend 50,000.
Can she spend that
And-
much?
No, she cannot. And it's 30% money. I would bring it to council anyway.
Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, very good, very
And
good.
this will fall under the next item. The oversight committee will be looking at this to verify this was,
Right.
in accordance with the.
So in item 12, are you proposing that we go with the
I would recommend rigid.
Richard.
rigid?
66,950. Any public comment concerning this agenda item? All right, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item 12 to go with rigid.
I second.
Motion second for approval of item number 12, selecting the bid from Rigid for 66,950.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White,
Yeah.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 13, discussion and possible action on the acknowledgement of oversight committee reports for October 2021 through September 2022 and October 2022 through September 2023.
COVID absolutely wrecked our every 6 month review on the sales, the half-cent sales tax. So this go around, Jeanette actually did one in February. I believe that's when I was out with COVID during that time.
Yeah, you were.
And then we just did one recently for the next year. So you're basically getting a year's worth of documents here, a year's worth of what they reviewed the other night, and 2 different letters that will cover both of those time periods. But we are now back on track to just do every 6 months like we were prior to the COVID years.
And the oversight committee determined all of the expenditures were appropriate.
They did, yes.
Who signed that one? Was that from
Jerry
Jerry?
Jerry Petty.
Okay, yep. I saw it, but I couldn't remember. All right, good. Does that require our action?
Yes, acknowledgement.
Oh, acknowledgement.
I make a motion to acknowledge the oversight committee reports as listed on item 13.
I'll second.
Motion second for approval of item number 13.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 14, discussion and possible action on scheduling dates, location, and time for regular meetings of the Newcastle City Council for calendar year 2024.
Make a
Same.
motion. I was gonna say, make a motion we approve agenda item 14 as listed.
I second.
Motion second for approval of item number 14 as proposed.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 15, city manager's comments.
I don't believe I have any on this one.
May I say something, sir?
Go right ahead.
That those 2 slides in there had to do with the oversight committee, so it's not incorrect information. I thought they were supporting the roof build because we were using that same fund. So I just wanted to let you know that nothing is due there.
Okay.
So, thank you. Sorry, sir.
All right, item number 16, council member comments.
I like us to, as we're looking at, I know it's not on the agenda tonight, but I also noticed that our school zone that's by the football field could be moved back further on 130. It's since they added that parking on the west side,
It is awful close in, yeah.
Yes. I think that parking is actually outside the school zone.
And that's the youngest kids park the furthest out.
Yes.
So it's
They
the
park on the
youngest
west side
drivers.
of the,
Yeah.
of the,
Yeah,
of the
I think that's
stadium.
like
Can
freshman,
we
sophomore.
influence that, or do we ask ODOT to,
Oh, we can ask for anything.
yeah, yeah, no. We can't do it on our, yeah. There's a lot of merit to that, Mike. I
Yeah.
like that idea.
I
I'm
agree.
pretty sure I remember when Juliana was there that the youngest kids had to walk the furthest. So that's our
Yeah.
baby drivers.
And I don't want to belabor it, but the one on 62 is awful close to Fox Lane, isn't it? I mean, it's just,
I do believe it is.
Is it
I think they just
satisfactory
need,
as well,
I think
or
they
just-
just need to be reviewed
all right.
by ODOT and set the standards that's set in their standards.
Yeah, I really like that idea on Fox Lane, though. They need to go
Yeah.
back 100 feet, or
Yeah.
I don't know how far it needs to go back, but
But
Well, and then that whole road anyway, right? So
Yes.
it won't hurt.
but I think 130, it could benefit 130 there as well.
Yeah.
So on that note, the schools took over the school zone lights, signs, everything else 2 years ago. 2 years ago, it's when Jeff Landis was still part of there, and he called up and said, those are ours, we're taking care of it. Those lights, on the moving and everything else,
That'd be their
that
cost.
I would anticipate ODOT will charge whoever
Oh,
to move those. I know one single light like that is almost $10,000 for a new light.
Kevin, would you just explore that with the school? I bet they'd be glad to be mindful of it anyway. And
There may be a safety grant in there, because that's how we got, if you remember how we got the crosswalks in.
True. But I guess what I'm saying is the school hasn't approached us about this at all.
No, this is just my observation when I was reviewing.
No, yes, and I understand that, but I mean, as far as filling out grants and doing this, doing that, whatever, is it the city or is it at the school? I mean,
is it?
we can certainly help. I have no
Yeah,
issue
that's what I was
with
gonna
that,
say. If they don't have the money, I mean, I don't have an issue with us helping with that part if we are allowed to, I guess.
I'm sure we could do a mutual partnership on something like that, but
We'll look into it.
somebody needs to take the lead. That's what I'm saying.
And the school may not be aware of it with the change.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just do the courtesy of letting them know that it came up, and
Yes.
because I'm not proposing our action on it just yet, but
There, as kind of related to that, this school zone right out here, I was approached by the former superintendent, the previous one, about I actually got it from a school teacher and a principal over here. And then they wanted another new signal light, school zone light, down here on the other side where the ball fields end, because they said that's really where the school zone starts. I said, okay, well, let me speak with your superintendent about this and see what the school is. And 2 times I talked to her about that. We got pricing on it, the whole 9 yards, and gave it to her. She was really kind of unaware, but I said, we're certainly happy to partner with you on this if, $5,000 a piece or whatever. It never happened. She didn't want to do it. So that's what I'm kind of saying. Is
maybe Dr. Walker might have a different opinion on that.
could be.
Okay.
Any other council member comments?
I have a comment.
Okay.
In the spirit of athletics, just want to share with everyone that Racer football won their first round up in Elk City, and now we're in quarterfinals. We're going to the beautiful metropolis of Poto, Oklahoma, Friday night. Yeah.
I've been photos since 1998.
Yeah.
To be exact.
So
I remember it.
I watched that on OSN. They look good.
they Newcastle did.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a chance. Poto is remarkably strong. They're undefeated.
11-0. Yeah.
11-0.
Ooh.
And so I'll be assisting. I'll do the color for that show for OSN
Awesome.
because our guys are off. But anyway, it'll be tough. But if we do get them, then we're in line to play in a neutral site, the Blanchard Lions. So everyone pray. God loves blue. I know He does.
Blue as the sky.
Anyway, just a good report. It'd be fun to see the team go. If they can
That's
go a little
exciting.
bit
That'd
further.
be
It's been a
awesome.
while.
Yep.
That'd be awesome.
I believe there's also mention of the Lion of Judah somewhere in that. Something to say.
Line of Judah.
Some people really have to.
Yeah, but it's a different line.
Yeah.
This line's line.
It should be great. Should be good.
That's exciting.
That'll be exciting. You traveling to Poto to call the game?
I am.
Awesome.
We'll start working on that next proclamation.
Yep. We'll start working on it.
Yeah.
You might just do a few lines, so I'll fill you in if there's anything
This
else.
is on the record.
No, we don't know.
Yeah,
You know, we won't be picked, but we're,
It's exciting to get this far, though.
yeah,
Super exciting.
we got a chance.
Any other council member comments? All right, item 17A, discussion and possible action on entering into an executive session permitted under 25 OS, section 307B4, discussing confidential communications between a public body and its attorney concerning a pending investigation, claim, or action if the public body, with the advice of its attorney, determines that disclosure will seriously impair the ability of the public body to proceed to process the claim or conduct a pending investigation, litigation, or proceeding in the public interest, PFAS/AFFF litigation. I'll make a motion to enter into executive session with our city manager.
I don't think,
Everybody?
I talked to Tony Puckett on Friday and put this on the agenda with the intent of his representative from McAfee Taft calling me. Is he here? He's not here.
is there any representative here? I know there's nobody over here from McAfee
And I
Taft.
never did hear from anyone.
Okay, no.
He never called.
Then will be no action on that agenda item. Item 17B, discussion and possible action on any items discussed in executive session. No action on that agenda item as well. Item 18 is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion
Before we adjourn, I do want to mention, we have those deadlines coming up, for the class action suit.
We can still go into it and I can talk to you about it.
So,
Just
what do you wanna
kidding.
do?
No, I'm serious.
No, I'm saying just kidding on the motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
What now?
So either way, if you want to hear some more background about this litigation, what this is about, I'm more than happy to talk to you about it.
Right, because I believe there's a December 4th and a December 11th deadline, or if my dates are correct, before the next council meeting, to take action if we are in the lawsuits. So,
I'm willing to hear more on it. Would we
Well,
need to go
then-
into session to do that?
Well, then we'll back up and we'll enter into executive session. I'll
yeah,
make a
motion to reconsider.
I'll make a motion to reconvene into an executive session with our city manager, assistant city manager, city attorney, and Chris.
Second.
Second.
Motion second, to enter into executive session.
Second before you invite anyone else in here.
I know.
Okay, Mike
Or
Fuller,
remembers anything else?
Mike,
Mike, vote.
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Yeah.
Kimberly Sutton,
Yes.
Marcy White,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
yes, and we will take a 5-minute break.